Good morning to you all. My name is Leah Bordelin, and I serve as the director of the Haskayne Centres, which is part of the Haskayne School of Business. We support and run the Canadian Centre for Advanced Leadership in Business. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to a new year of the BMO Mentorship Program at the Haskayne School of Business. The University of Calgary is located in the heart of southern Alberta, and both the university and ourselves acknowledge and pay tribute to the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda, including the Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney First Nations. The City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Districts 5 and 6. I hope that you all took some time yesterday in your own ways to reflect on the people whose lands we're gathering on today. Since 2002, the BMO Mentorship Program has provided Haskayne students with the opportunity to grow their leadership potential by connecting them with a mentor from the business community. We're grateful to the BMO Financial Group's incredible support of the program. Thank you very much, BMO Financial Group. Before we kick off our morning, I want to say a very special thank you to the CCAL team. This includes Francis, Mujan, and Zahra, as well as the Haskayne event specialist, Lauren, for pulling this event together. And also the CCAL team, you all have a mentor or mentee, and that takes a shocking amount of work to get done. The matching process is a big deal. And so I'm very impressed that they got it done for October 1st. I think this is the first time ever that it was done so early. So thank you so much to the team for everything you've done. We're excited to feature a session with Jamie Parker, a University of Calgary alumnus and one of the co-founders of Canadian Heritage Roasting Company. You may have noticed there's a guy in the room with a hat on, and that would be him. It's my pleasure to introduce Jamie and welcome him to the stage. Jamie is a former wildland fighter turned purpose-driven entrepreneur. Jamie's story is rooted in resilience, community, and the spirit of the outdoors, offering powerful lessons on authentic leadership and carving your own path. Jamie will lead a dynamic session today focused on leading relationships with authenticity through enhanced communication, feedback, and coaching skills. Today, you'll leave with some practical tools that will foster impactful relationships throughout the year, along with having some dedicated time at the end for networking and connection. So Jamie, over to you.
So, I'm Jamie Parker. I'm one of the co-founders of Canadian Heritage Roasting Company and the president, and I've been at it for about 10 years now. So actually our 10-year anniversary, I think it's tomorrow. Don't tell Mike that because he markets it as November, but yeah, so I want to talk today to everybody here about mentorship, how it has shaped me, saved me, challenged me, and in many ways defined my life. And here's the truth. Mentorship is seasonal. The people who guide us at one point may not be the people we need later on, and that's okay. And sometimes we become mentors ourselves, whether we're ready or not. My story begins not in a boardroom or a classroom, but on farms, in workshops, and in the company of my grandfathers. All right, up in here you can see. So my grandfather, William Parker, he's the guy in blue in the bottom right corner. He was a potato farmer in New Brunswick, a man of the land, fourth generation. He had leathered skin from the fields, a permanent tobacco tin mark in his shirt pocket, and a work ethic that simply didn't bend. He was the first up, the last in. There were no sick days for the cows or the crops. And here's what stuck with me. He never complained, not once. As a boy, I watched him carefully. Why was he always so steady? Why was he fulfilled? It wasn't wealth. He was poor. It wasn't recognition. It was the simple rhythm of work, gratitude, community, and care for others. From him, I learned, earn your day, work hard, be kind, be gentle. On the other side of the country, I had my grandpa, Bud. He's up in the top right-hand corner, and for some reason, I don't have many pictures of him. But Bud was a retired gold mining engineer. He was different, sharp, blunt, a force of nature. He struck it big and retired at 45. At his Shuswap lake house every summer, he would look me dead in the eye and ask, "Are you dedicated?" JD, are you still dedicated? At 12 or 13 years old, I thought he meant in sports, in school, in chores. I'd say, "Yes, Grandpa, I'm dedicated." And he'd just nod satisfied and say, "Good, stay dedicated." I had no idea then how much those words would become my compass and carry me through my darkest years to come. But mentorship didn't just come from my grandfathers. My dad and stepdad taught me blue-collar skills that at the time, they felt ordinary and routine, but they became priceless. They taught me woodworking, shingling, siding, cabinet making, framing, wood milling, drywall, auto mechanics. You name it, I've dabbled in it. And I didn't know it then, but those were lessons in self-reliance. If something broke, you fixed it. If you needed something, you built it. Later in life, those skills saved me. I worked on my own cars when money was tight. Those skills helped me when I worked in utility construction and out on oil rigs in oil and gas. Even in wildfire, when I had to fell trees and construct helicopter pads on the side of mountains. I built out our first coffee roasting shop instead of paying contractors. And on my ranch between 2020 and 2022, I built a 2-story, 40 by 50 foot barn by myself with my own 2 hands. Every nail, every board. That barn isn't just a building. It's a monument to mentorship. A reminder that resilience isn't inherited. It's taught skill by people who take time to show you. When I was 13, my life changed forever. My mom was in a car accident. At first, it was about injuries, pain, recovery, but soon painkillers entered the picture. Oxycontin, a potent opioid, and over time, they consumed her. She became addicted. I watched her personality shift. She became distant, compulsive, reckless, and I hadn't yet known it, but I lost my mother that night. Those teenage years were a blur. 6 years where I often hid in my room painting model cars, blasting country music to drown out the chaos, and eating my sorrows away. Meanwhile, I helped raise my 3-year-old little brother while my stepdad worked 2 jobs just to keep us afloat. And on top of all of that, I lost my one hero, my confidant, my grandpa, Bud. Every night, I would hear my grandpa Bud's voice in my head. Are you dedicated? At 13, 14, and 15 years old, I didn't fully understand, but those words kept me on a straight path when it could have been so easy to veer off. I stayed out of drugs, alcohol, and I only dabbled in the odd general mischief with my buddies. At 18, I moved to Whitehorse for work on a 6-week contract. That picture is of me just as I got back, and I don't even know who that girl is. But I was the youngest in a house full of older men in Whitehorse. The sun barely set there, and after work ended at 3 p.m., I had hours to fill, and I wasn't of age to get into bars. Instead, I chose to run, to work out, to push myself, to get my life and soul back, to be proud of myself for once. In 45 days, I lost 30 pounds, but I gained something worth far more, confidence. That summer taught me the power of discipline, how to run through shin splints, that if I could control myself, I could change myself, that I was in charge of my outcome, and that confidence carried me to Europe at the age of 19. 3 months of backpacking with my best friend and cousin across Europe. And since cell phones didn't work abroad in 2009, we had to use maps and internet cafes. Yes, believe it or not, we used to have to use those things. And internet cafes were the hottest thing since sliced bread. I learned to navigate foreign countries, foreign languages, and most of all, my independence. When I came back, I set my sights higher. I worked full-time in construction while upgrading my high school grades. For 6 months, I grounded out. I finished my pure courses with honors and scholarships, and finally, I was in university. That grind built momentum. It showed me that if I was willing to outwork others, opportunities would open. And it set the stage for the hardest challenge I'd ever face. Enter Alberta wildfire rappel. Imagine this, waking up at 5 a.m. every day, running 20 plus kilometers in the mountains in minus 15 degrees Celsius, not knowing how far or when it would end. Then back for breakfast and 8 more hours of relentless training. Burpees, pull-ups, tower drills, and helicopter rappel practice. With every mistake made, we'd have to do physical fitness as a reminder not to make that same mistake again. I was sharpening my mind. 30 days of it. 25 started the paramilitaristic camp, 9 were chosen, and I was one of them. And in that crucible, I was mentored by some of the toughest, sharpest leaders I've ever known. They taught me to listen in high-risk moments, to lead when fear wanted me silent. One of them, Bobby, told me something that lit a fire in me. You only live one life. It's not worth wondering what if. Those words planted the seed for entrepreneurship. There's a couple cool pictures of me up there and my crews. And here we go, entrepreneurship. In 2015, Mike and I launched Canadian Heritage Roasting Company, fresh off the heels of wildfire. Our first mentor was Tyler Rigas. Over breakfast meetings, he helped us map our strengths, weaknesses, and the basics of business. But as we grew, we outgrew Tyler. See, mentorship is seasonal. At District Ventures, Melissa Gunning and Jennifer Carlson gave us the CPG playbook. They taught us how to get into stores, how to understand margins, and most of all, how to survive. In 2019, we built our cafe ourselves. Hammering, sawing, wiring, permitting. The skills from my dad and stepdad came full circle. Then 2020 hit. COVID. Did anybody remember COVID? Mike and I ran the cafe and roasting operations solo for months. 14-hour days, 7 days a week, no mentors to call, just grit and the echo of Bud's question, are you dedicated? Out of that crucible, Flash Fuel was born, Canada's first organic instant coffee. In 2022, when interest rates doubled our warehouse mortgage overnight, we were bleeding cash. We eliminated all leadership salaries to staunch the bleed. That's when Mark Seagos, co-founder of Buddha Brand, stepped into my life. He opened doors across Canada, mentored me through scaling, and gave me confidence that we weren't alone. But again, mentorship is seasonal. Eventually, I felt like I had taken everything I could from Mark. Our conversations slowed, but our friendship has never ceased. That's when I reached out to Greg Vetter after I read his book, Undressed. He was the founder and builder of a $300 million salad dressing company in the United States. I overcame my fear, the what ifs, and why I was not deserving of his mentorship. And I cold emailed him. To my surprise, he called me the next day. And he bluntly asked me why I wanted his mentorship, and it almost stumped me, and how I'd compensate him. And he didn't want cash. He didn't want money. And I thought about it for a while, and I offered him something only I could, a horseback elk hunting trip. I figured it was something authentic, personal, something that meant something to me. And he said yes. And today, Greg, he mentors me on scaling, investment, and the biggest strategic choices in my business. And guess what? I don't think he'll ever take me up on that offer. But if he does, it'll always be there for him. You see, there are just good people out there that are willing to take the risk. And I think this is the foundation of humanity and entrepreneurship. You just need to ask the question and find that one person. But mentorship doesn't just come from grandfathers. Oh, there's some pictures of our warehouse when we were building it out. Those are all of our mentors. So mentorship doesn't just come from grandfathers, fathers, bosses, or business leaders. One of my greatest teachers has been parenthood. And I know many of you are not parents here today. But becoming a parent taught me resilience on a whole new level. It taught me boundaries. It taught me patience, understanding, and kindness in ways I never thought possible. It taught me how to put others before myself, how to operate in sleep deprivation and still show up, how to do the hard thing even when I'm exhausted. That means putting life, work, and the phone down and being fully in the moment, because man, do those moments fly by. Sometimes it's saying yes to that camping trip, knowing full well my kid is going to wake up 3 or 4 times a night being in a new bed, or coming home from a 12-hour day and still saddling up for a mountain bike ride, the park, the games, the adventures, or even that horse ride. Parenthood taught me that experiences matter more than comfort, that showing up for both my wife and child matters more than being rested, and that leadership, real leadership, is about presence. It's also taught me empathy on a deeper level, to work within a child's mental framework, to see their outbursts not as bad behavior, but as a struggle of a little human who hasn't yet learned to self-regulate. Parenting reframed my understanding of mentorship itself. It's not about control, it's about guidance, patience, and love. Now, 10 years later, Canadian Heritage Roasting Company is a national coffee brand sold in over 2,000 stores across Canada, and we've planted over 200,000 trees. I've learned that mentorship is not a straight line. It's a series of seasons. I've also learned that mentorship is reciprocal. My friends, my siblings, my wife, my business partners, they mentor me daily. And I've mentored young entrepreneurs, helping them find their footing just as others have done for me. And I must be real here for a moment. I've never had a mentor show up out of thin air. I've had to ask others for connections, reach out to strangers, ask questions, ask for help, and be vulnerable. Every time I have overcome my doubts and fears, I've been able to find a mentor. If it scares you, you are on the right path. Don't dismiss that feeling. So lean into that fear and take that leap. You'll be surprised what you'll learn. Now, I've got a couple takeaways here that I think everybody should kind of tune into. The first one is to be dedicated. Dedication is the anchor when life storms hit. Number 2, seek mentorship actively. Don't wait. Knock on those doors, cold email, cold call. Show you're worth the investment Effort in, results out. Number 3, show up. This goes for both mentees and mentors. Be on time, be prepared, discuss your wins, losses, challenges. Send the calendar invite first, mentees. Be proactive. Do not make a mentor do your work for you. These people are carving out finite time out of their busy schedules specifically for you. They want to see you grow. Number 4, understand the seasons. Outgrowing a mentor is not disloyalty, it's growth, and that's what they want to see. You will know when it's time to move on. You will feel it in your gut. 5, reciprocity matters. Be grateful as a mentee, be generous as a mentor. And number 6, build legacy through people. Companies come and go, skills fade, but the impact of mentorship multiplies through every life you touch. All right, now I'm going to get you guys into a little bit of a workshop. So I don't want to just leave you with all of my stories. Mentorship is not a spectator sport. It's about connection, real, honest human connection. So we're going to take the next 20 minutes together and put mentorship into practice right here in this room. And it starts with vulnerability. So I want you to turn to somebody near you, ideally a potential mentor or mentee, and share this. What is your dream for your future? What is your true desired reality? I want you to be honest, be vulnerable, and don't worry if it sounds too big or wild, because it should. All right. Has everybody shared their desired reality? Seems like it was a good question to spark conversation. So if you have the time, something I did a long time ago with this, and my wife actually showed it to me. There's a TED Talk by Patty Dabrowski on YouTube, and she goes in depth about drawing your desired reality. And on one side of the page, you draw your current reality. On the other side of the page, you draw your desired reality. And I did this for the first time in 2018. And on one side, I showed my current reality. I was working in my oil and gas job part-time while running my company. And I was miserable. I was overworked. I didn't have the time to put into my company. And I showed that right on the picture. And then on the other side, and I showed everything else that was also good in my life at the time. And on the other side of the page, I put a ranch, I put a barn, I put time, I put me standing on top of my company, a number of things. And believe it or not, there's something that happens when you can connect a drawing of your current reality to your desired reality, and then you create a pathway directly to it. And no less than 2 years later, I'd fulfilled the entire right side of my page in reality. So, thank you for sharing that with each other. And I'm going to prompt you guys for a second question here. And I believe that with this question is where growth happens. And that question is, what scares you? What is holding you back from pursuing this dream or desired reality? And what obstacles stand in your way? And I want mentees to share first. Mentors, listen carefully, because this is the soil where your guidance can take root. And then mentors, share your own fears too. Vulnerability builds trust. All right, I'm going to bring everybody back here. Spark some conversations. Were they good? No? I hope they're good. It's important for us to share those things. Now, whoever you guys have connected with today, your mentor or mentee or maybe both, I want you to bring those answers of these two questions with you beyond this event. Your dream, your fear. These two things are the foundation of a powerful mentorship relationship. And I want to leave you with a quote from Sun Tzu in The Art of War. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. That's mentorship. It's adaptive, it shifts with seasons, it responds to obstacles, and when it keeps flowing, it carves valleys, shapes landscapes, and creates legacies. But it's not only relevant to mentorship, it's relevant to life itself, because your journey will take you over rough ground, through narrow channels, and into open water. You will face barriers, detours, and walls. The lesson is this: stay like water, adjust, adapt, keep flowing, and you'll continue to shape your own course. So my final challenge to you is simple. Take the dream you shared today, take the fear you admitted today, and let mentorship and all its seasons help you carve your path forward. And always remember to ask yourself this: are you dedicated? Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. We'll keep you up here because we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A if anyone has questions. But I wanted to say thank you. One thing, I don't know if you noticed, but the bushy mustache is strong in Jamie's family. Did you see it in the pictures? It was kind of amazing how many mustaches there were.
It runs long in our bloodline.
Yeah. And I also hope that you take from this that idea that you need to really, mentees in particular, you really need to take action here. It can be really scary to make that, to build that relationship because you feel like you don't know as much as maybe your mentor does, but you can be confident in your dedication and your drive. So I hope that you take Jamie's story and move forward with that in mind. But now we have some mic runners. So if you have questions for Jamie, please go ahead.
Any question? You know everything about me. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, we'll give you a microphone.
Thank you again, Jamie, for inspiring us with your story. I just had a question with regards to your career path. So you had mentioned you were in firefighting and then you went on to entrepreneurship. So I was just curious what made you pivot? Like what made you decide to change from that?
Yeah, I've actually had about 40 jobs in my life. I probably have had more jobs in years. And kind of through that, when I was young, I didn't really realize that I was going to be an entrepreneur. But I remember in high school, I would sell fake Pumas and Abercrombie clothes out of my locker. And I would also go down, when I was even younger with my brother, we'd go to Safeway and we'd ask people to help take their groceries back so that we could collect the quarter from the cart after, just so we could go and buy some stuff. And there's like a number of things that kind of happened in my life that fully came to a head after I got out of Wildfire. And Wildfire was an incredible experience for me. I did it for 4 years, and I got to lead my own teams as well. But there was something just missing. Like, that fulfilled me in so many ways, but I knew that I had more to give. I had more to learn. And so I wanted to really create something that felt true to my soul, to my values, and that I could kind of megaphone out to other people. And hopefully they enjoyed it just as much as I did. And this aha moment kind of came to me. Actually, it was on an elk hunting trip in 2014. And I just had the best experience in the outdoors, and I came back to camp, and I had been on a solo trip for 5 days without any reception, and I had a lot of introspective reflection because I was super confused. I was in university, I was just getting out. I was actually in 3 courses at that last semester: love class, classics, and Photoshop. So I didn't need to go to any of them, and I didn't, and I went hunting instead. And something just came to me in that moment, and I was really in turmoil. I was at a tough spot in that transition period between work, university, and what was my career going to look like. But it kind of came to me there on that mountainside where I was like, I need to find a way to get people into the outdoors, and I need to create a product and an experience that can elicit that emotional response from our customers. So that's how it kind of spurred on me. And then I started thinking about, okay, well, how am I going to create that? Is it going to be through a coffee shop? Is it going to be through a product? And then I had thought, if I could create a product that is working for me on a grocery store shelf, and it can create that connection between the outdoors and our product, we're going to win people 100% of the time. And so that's kind of where the idea spurred from. And then it was the fear of stepping off, because I could go back to fire, I could continue to work in oil and gas and do a number of things, but the adventure of the fear aspect, that's what captivated me, and that's why I took that leap. And I didn't have the first idea of what it was like to start a business. I had to ask like 5 people, and then eventually one person pointed me towards creating a business plan, which I didn't even know what a business plan was at the time. But that's ultimately how I kind of like jumped off. It's just doing. If you have that, you know when that fire is in you, and you know when you have more to give, and you just need to take that first step in that direction, and you'd be shocked at like what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks so much for your story. I'm super excited to hear it. One of the things is, as entrepreneurs, we're really good at building and doing, but there's a lot of mistakes we make and challenges. What is, if you wish to share, what are one of the biggest challenges or mistakes you made in building your business, and how did you overcome it?
I think one of my biggest mistakes is that I'm a visionary. It sounds, I don't know, kind of cliche, but visionaries tend to want to create and build and create and build, but you lack focus on creating velocity in the areas of success. And as soon as you get that success, you're like, okay, on to the next thing, squirrel, right? So I would say that was one of my biggest challenges, and that came to fruition in 2021 when we had just gone through COVID. We had banked a ton of cash flow because we had no labor for our company, and Mike and I were slaving away on the line and in the coffee shop. So we'd cashed or stockpiled a bunch of cash, and we decided, okay, we're going to create Flash Fuel. And then at the same time, I was like, and I'm also going to create a really cool apparel line for our company, so it's more of an adventure brand. And I brought in all of our staff, like 15 staff back in. We were humming. We bought the equipment to create our Flash Fuel, our spray dryer, figured that out, did all the packaging production. Then I started working on the apparel side. And what ended up happening is we just started to burn cash in that growth and in that development process, and it nearly put us under. And so we had to pull the reins back hard, and thank God I have a good operator and our controller in our company, because she's like, listen, we can't continue to do this. We have to cut one or the other. So we kind of paused the apparel line, continued on the Flash Fuel side, and then that really took us to new places, especially because it was a higher margin product. But I would say that was one of the big ones. Another one was making the decision to purchase our warehouse. In 2022, We had kind of gotten out of that cash flow pinch, and we were growing at such a pace that I was burning out my staff in our current roastery, and it wasn't going to last a whole lot longer if we didn't get a bigger facility. But I was so tired of renting from other landlords and wasting that money and not having that asset that I made the decision to buy our warehouse. And that was in 2022. We liquidated all of our cash flow into our warehouse, and we strapped up for a rough ride again. And, you know, we bought that place, and it's been the best decision ever, but it was also the scariest decision because we had to cut our salaries again, get back to work, and continue to grow that company. And so it took 2 years to really kind of get out of that space, especially when interest rates went crazy high in 2022 and we were on a variable mortgage. So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Excellent background. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story. I have a question for you. If you were a 20-odd-year-old student or starting out your career again, what are the top 3 books you would recommend?
Top 3 books. You know, a really good one that I liked when I was that age was Shoe Dog. I just found it was a really inspiring story, and you could see how he weaves his way into success slowly and over time. Another one, I don't know if it's like as practical at that age, but it's a book called Traction. And the reason I say it is it would set you up for success if you're going to get into that world of business building, even being an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. It's by Gino Wickham. And the last one, yeah, it's tough. The last one, because I'm very outdoorsy, I read a lot of like outdoorsy books. And it would be Men for the Mountains by Sid Marty. And it just, when you hear his stories back in the day about the hardship and the hard times, it really puts things into perspective. And it's a great book. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Any other questions?
Hello, I could be generalizing a little bit, but it feels like this generation carries and talks about anxiety a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing, but it feels like we've got some sort of, I don't know, it's just growing. And so I'm wondering how you deal with anxiety.
You know how I learned to deal with anxiety? Honestly, I try to acquire more skills. Because if I can build that toolbox and I can have that confidence in this skill, it really deflates the anxiety, because then I know that I can accomplish something regardless. And so while you're on your journey, what I mean by that is, like, if you don't know how to do bookkeeping, start. If you don't know if you're not a good reader, start reading books. If you don't know how to work out, start going to the gym. It's just about starting, and it's about learning these new skills. If you've always wanted to, run a table saw, like, ask around. You'll find somebody who will introduce you to these things. And as you start to acquire those skills, it really starts to decrease your anxiety, because you know that you can rely on yourself to take you out of any situation. And I feel that a lot of people have anxiety because they don't have the skills to maybe go into this career or to do this, or and yeah, I would say ultimately, if you can acquire more skills, that'll really create levity.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm one of the mentees of this program. So the conversation, what you said about conversations being slowed with your mentor kind of really resonated with me. So I joined the BMO Mentorship Program last year, and it was because I was really interested in finance at that time and wanted to talk to someone with a finance background. But throughout our mentorship program, I realized I was more interested in supply chain. And we still had a great relationship, and we still continue our conversations today. However, the different backgrounds just meant our conversations for mentorship-related topics slowed. And I was just wondering, how do I maintain a close relationship with my mentor continuing on? Because we do have a big age difference, and it's hard to kind of find shared hobbies sometimes to talk about. So usually the conversations I bring up are things I'm struggling with in life, but I don't know, sometimes I want to maintain more consistent relationship with him.
Yeah, I think, so I deal with that with one of my old mentors as well. You're like, oh, what are we going to talk about now, right? I think they don't care to mentor you anymore. They care to be a part of your journey. So I think it's like anything else in life where they just want to hear from you. They want to know how you're doing. They want to hear about your new mentor. They want to hear about the new things that inspire you or that you're working towards. And I would say, like, bring that stuff up with them. Meet up for a coffee. Even if they're a lot older than you, that's okay. Ask them out to maybe a family event that you're doing or something like that, right? Like, that's a great way for you to create a deeper connection on that level. Or if you're having, a barbecue or something like that with some friends, feel free to ask them to come out, because you never know, maybe one of your friends needs that mentor as well. And so that's kind of how the whole networking thing goes. And you need to make the choice to put yourself in an uncomfortable position to ask for something from them, ultimately.
Hi there. First of all, thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for the questions. They were very insightful. They really, I had some very growing conversations just now, just out of the questions alone. Thank you. My question for you is, did you ever feel like you or your skills were lacking in an environment you were in as you were starting your business? And if you have any sort of how you overcame that feeling?
Yeah, I felt that way when I started my business. I didn't know the first thing about business. And I'll be really quick here because we're out of time, but I didn't know bookkeeping, I didn't know accounting, I didn't know legal, I didn't know trademarking, I didn't know procurement, I didn't know how to roast coffee, I didn't know how to bag it, I didn't know how to sell, I didn't know marketing, I didn't know Instagram. I didn't know anything. And you know how I got over it? I just started doing. And as you kind of wade into that water, the shock of the water, the cold on you, that's what's shocking. But then you warm up to it, and then you can get deeper in, and then you can start wading, then you can start swimming. Then next thing you know, you're on a boat out there, and you're surfing behind it, or you're skiing. So it's just like, if you don't know something or it scares you, just make the step, because like that's where growth happens, and growth is always scary. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Jamie. That was a great note to end on, so thank you so much. So I hope you've enjoyed this morning. It's light out. I've been facing this way, and now I'm looking, and wonderful, it's light. We'll be able to see our way out now. But it takes a community to keep a program like this going, and we would like to acknowledge all the mentors in the room for your support. Thank you so much. Out of curiosity, how many of you are UCalgary alumni? Wow, quite a few of you. And can you please keep your hand raised if you're Haskayne alumni? How many Haskayne? A lot. There's quite a few. Wow. So amazing. We're so excited to, so happy to have this community just keep growing. This event has been supported by the U Calgary Alumni All Access Partnership Fund. And we're pleased to have Jeff Wallace with us. I got to sit with him this morning as well. He's the lead for business development. And I'd like him to come up and share a little bit about the Alumni Built Business program, which is part of how we got to know Jamie, in fact.
Wow, thank you. And Jamie, that's a great talk. Really took a lot away from it. So good morning, everyone. It is a privilege to be here today to share the program that highlights the power of our growing alumni community called Alumni Built Business. First, I want to thank the Haskayne team, Leah, Francis, Mujan, for inviting me to share this program with you. The Alumni Built Business program was created to bring together businesses founded, owned, and operated by U Calgary alumni. Our goal is simple: discover what matters most to you as a founder or owner, shed a light on your unique offerings, and create meaningful connections that will help us thrive. From there, we look for ways to amplify and support one another. We do this through engagement. There are many ways to engage. We offer tailored opportunities, everything from exposure in our newsletters and social media to campus partnerships like this one, curated events, and through mentorship. We help tell the stories of alumni founders and provide real opportunities to build lasting relationships. In short, we're here to amplify the businesses and grow a community. Now here's where this all comes together. I get to tell a little story about Jamie. So let me share that story with you. Back in 2024, when this program first kicked off, and I was leading it, I sat down with Jamie at the cafe over coffee. This was my very first business owner meeting at the head of this program. Over coffee, we talked about everything, from family and life to challenges of running a business and how we could collaborate together. At the end of that conversation, Jamie said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, "I'm all in, let's go." That moment of commitment set everything in motion. Shortly after, our relationship led to hosting an ABB mixer at the cafe. And it wasn't just an event. It was a vibrant, welcoming place filled with energy, ideas, and genuine connections among alumni business owners within this community. So thank you, Jamie, for your belief and for your continuing to support this community. Where we are today. So right now, I'd like you to pull out your phones, please. Okay, grab your phones, click on a browser, and I'd like you to type this in. U Calgary Alumni Built Business Directory. Once that link comes up, click on it. Okay? As of today, our ABB community is nearly 200 businesses strong and still growing. This is your chance to get involved. Support these businesses. And if you're a business owner, come and see me. I want to talk to you. At U Calgary, we're proud to champion and celebrate the incredible businesses created by our alumni. Join us if you are an alumni business owner, and head down to the cafe to grab a coffee and grab a Bubba construction card to support Jamie and his business. Together, we can continue to grow and support these alumni built businesses. Thank you.